How's it going, everyone? And isn't it just a glorious morning? What are we, the February, how about March 27th. And nice spring day. We're supposed to be getting another 3 to 5 inches with a total of 6 to 12 inches by the time this crap's all done. Some lake effect coming in. It came in last night. Oh man, just getting over being a little under the weather. Well, I shouldn't say under the weather. I was down for the count for the past 2 days, so fun. Okay, today we're going to work on something a little still in the media, only we're going to go to the other side of it. Instead of stereo, we're going to go to video. So, you know, listening to music and watching movies are the way to go. No. This is an older VCR. This is a 4-head, a Symphonic model 7800S. Now the Symphonic is made in Japan, and that's about all I can find out about Symphonic. One thing I did see is when I was looking it up, trying to figure out, you know, who made Symphonic, or, you know, any kind of history, so we could kind of figure out who built this. You know, like I said, it come out of Japan, so it could be one of those Japanese companies that it's an off-brand, or not really an off-brand, but rebranded, because when parts were available for this, they were through Parts Direct. And Parts Direct was mainly through Sears. So I'm figuring that this was probably a VCR that was rebranded Symphonic for Sears. You know, now it could be a Sony or a Sanyo or any of those types that come out of Japan. But when we get the cover off, maybe we can identify, maybe there'll be something inside that'll tell us, you know, actually who made this. I can't even find a year on this thing as to when it was made. It is a 4-head, but it's only a mono. A mono. It's only mono. Let's see, we have our regular coax out and in for our TV. Now this one would be just a little bit newer because it has AV jacks on it. You can send video in for recording or video out to your TV. But like I said, you can use your AV jacks, but you only use your video and your white, which would make it mono, or you can use your coax. So it is a little bit newer. The older VCRs didn't even have AV jacks on them, the RCA jacks on them. All they had was either coax or antenna wire hookups on them. So VHS, a little bit, like I said, this one's just a little bit newer, not much. I'm figuring probably 80s, mid 80s, I'm thinking on this one, maybe even early 80s. The VCRs are still kind of sought after now because there's so many good kids movies on VHS that people were buying for their kids. There's a lot of VHS movies that are not on DVD. So now our VCRs are becoming valuable again. Isn't that amazing how things come around? But I don't think Betamax will ever come back. I was one of those ones in the late 70s, early 80s that bought into Betamax. And I bought a Betamax. And I'll tell you, the picture was really good. But, you know, you have your war between Betamax and VHS, and VHS was a lot cheaper. Their machines were cheaper, and videos were cheaper for VHS. So, naturally, with our society, even then, Betamax lost. He's gone. And now what was left was VHS. Because it was more inexpensive. The machines were, like I said, were a lot more inexpensive to build. Okay, first thing we're gonna do with this thing is we're gonna take the cover off and clean the head on it and check the pinch rollers, make sure they're clean. Now, if we need a belt or anything for this, we're gonna have to go with a universal, something universal. Just like the remote. I didn't get the remote for this, so I have to go with a universal remote for this. These machines are normally about 35 to 40 bucks used if they're working, which is, that's pretty generous because it's only a mono. The ones that are worth the money, the ones that people are really looking for, are the dual, the VCR and DVD combo. That way you can play all your library on one machine. But like I said, these are still coming back. People are still looking for good VCRs. Now, I paid probably a little too much for this, but I needed VCR to sell, so I paid $12.50 for that. For this one, I know people are going to say, well, that's not much. Well, $12.50, you figure, $12.50. I just ordered universal remotes. Those are about $5 a piece. So we have, you know, $17.50 in it. If we need a belt or something, you know, we'll roughly say we'll have about 20 bucks in this when we're done. And then what are we going to sell it for? If we have 20 in it, granted, you know, by all rights we should get 40 bucks for it. We should double our money on anything used. But in this case, we'll probably end up selling this one for probably $30, $35. I will put 35 on it and probably get offered 30 bucks for it. But that's beside the point. I may hold out. If it works good and has a really good picture and all that, and it cleans up really nice, I may hold out for the 35 on it just so I can get a little bit more money out of it than 30. I want my extra $5. Give me my money, sucker. Now you can figure in your time if you want. You know, say it takes you 2 hours to get this fixed and working properly. What would you charge per hour to somebody if you were fixing it for them? You know, most electronic shops are going to charge you 35, 40 bucks an hour. So you're going to charge $100 for this when you're done? Hell no. My theory of thinking is my time is really not worth much when I'm fixing this stuff for myself. Because if I wasn't fixing this, I'd be fixing something else. Or if I wasn't fixing this, I'd be sitting in the house watching TV, not making a dime. So I would rather be working on something, fixing it, and getting it working, and making some money off of it, instead of sitting on my ass doing nothing. That's just the way I think. You know, it's up to you what you want to do when you're working on this stuff for somebody else. Now, if somebody brought this in, yes, I would go through this probably for about 60 bucks. You know, okay. So it's up to you. Now, what we're going to do first, like I said, is we're going to pull the cover off of this and check everything, make sure there's no critters in it, no dead bugs or anything, and see if we can't get it cleaned up first before we plug it in, and see if it'll eat a tape. So I'll get you set up and we'll get the cover off of this. Alright folks, let's get the cover off of it and see what we can find. Should be about 3 screws on this one. And the way the cover is on this, I'm kind of thinking somebody has already had this apart. Either that or it's just pretty crappily made. Now some of these, I know you can't see me getting that loud. There's one screw on the back that you can't see me taking off. Now I have taken some of these apart and have found them full of cockroaches. Yeah, let me set this down. Yeah, I have pulled them apart and found them full of dead cockroaches, dead bugs. And I'll tell you what, when I do that, most of the time I just put the lid back on them and throw them in the dumpster. Now we have a movie in it, and it is Please Be Kind. Oh, Be Kind, Please Rewind. Is that the movie? I don't know how many of you people have actually seen that. A lot of times, you know, this sticker that says Be Kind, Please Rewind, most of the time has come from a rental store, because people would watch their movie, stuff it back in the case and return it, and then the next poor soul has to rewind it before they can watch it. But first thing I got to do is get the tape out of it. Tape, movie tape, so we can take a look at everything. Now I'm gonna have to plug this in, which I'm not a big fan of because I can't do anything. Hold on a minute, I gotta find an outlet. Damn. Okay, that's what it did when I plugged it in. Didn't draw back the video either, so it's like I said, I hate powering these on. Let's see if we can get it through. Oh! Yep, not good. Not good at all. Well, that's going to make for a nice, and hopefully, oh, the Thomas Crown Affairs. Ooh. Now we do know that it was working, maybe, when they unplugged it and stuffed it in the 1999. When it got stuffed in wherever they put it, but oh man, like I said, if this one isn't any good, it will become dumpster food. It will be crapola. And that's I'm just looking right now. You know, like I said, you can't spend a whole lot of time on them because of, you know, these monos just aren't worth the money. Did I turn that off? They're just not worth the money, and they're not worth putting a whole lot of time into. So if they're not working, you're better off to just pitch them. We'll do a little bit of maintenance on it, and hopefully we can get it working. If it's working, fine. If not, then like I said, it'll go into the dumpster. And of course, I'm not prepared over here, so let me go gather up my crap so we can start cleaning this up and lubing. Like I said, lube's important. Gotta have lube. Now, while I clean this, I'm going to try, like I said, and stay out of your way so you can actually see what I'm doing. But it's the same as like on our stereo equipment. Wherever you see there is grease, old grease, you just want to kind of remove it as best you can. You don't have to make it spotless, because it's not going to be spotless, but we just want to get as much of the old grease out of it and off of it as we can, so we can replace it with some fresh, more pliable grease. VCRs really did make a big hit when they first come out. And it's just like anything with our technological leaps and bounds. And they figure when the VCR came out, that was gonna do away with our theaters, because you could rent movies cheaper and watch them in your own home, instead of going to the theaters and spending your money there. You could just buy a VCR and you can rent unlimited movies. Now granted, at first you couldn't watch any of the new movies until they came out on, but that didn't matter, because most people would say, hey, why should I spend the money and go to the theater when it's going to be out on video by the end of the year? But back then, it seemed like back then, when VCRs and that first come out, there was a whole lot of old movies that they put on them, and new movies wouldn't be out for, some of them was like 2 years from what I can remember. You know, it's been a while. But it always took, you know, a couple of years for the new releases to come out. But most of us didn't care, because we could wait. Ew, made a mess. And I don't know if it, you know, there's a lot of different things that kind of happened throughout the years. Now this is the head that actually reads the movie. And if you have a VCR that has a lot of lines and distortion in the picture, a lot of times it's because this head is dirty. If you play mildewed movies on it, the mildew will gather and cake onto your head. Ooh, nice. Get mildew on your head. I think I know some people that are like that. I think it's inside and not outside. But if you clean the head real good, a lot of times you can get it to clear up. But this, like I said, this is the one that This is what reads the movie. That's what reads the tape. And the other one, I'll show you right here in a second. This guy right back here, this is your audio. That's what actually reads the audio on the movie. And we'll clean that up too. Just like on our cassette decks, and get all this stuff cleaned up. This is the pinch roller right over here that pinches the tape and holds it in place as it reads. It has to be steady, you know, so this will pinch the tape down and hold, and your audio will come over and slide up against the movie. These two pins here push the movie up against the head. And then, of course, you have your two little dookies there that drive the tape. And same thing I have run across if you have, you know, bad audio. Then you need to clean. You can clean the audio head here. I'm not going to say that's going to cure your problem. This isn't a video on fixing them. This is just a video on how to service them so they will work. Maybe. And as I said earlier, a lot of these are not worth the time to put in too much time into them. There's so many of them, and a lot of them still aren't worth a whole hell of beans. So you just kind of do your basic, and if it works, you're lucky and feel good about it. If it doesn't work, then there's the big mouth dumpster that they can go in. But wherever you see a little something moving, or has to move, or can move, just put a little bit of grease on it. At some point, these ones too might be worth a little bit more as more and more of them get thrown out. But right now, everybody's still looking for the, you know, the 4-head stereo type. Those are the ones they want. If you're, you know, really into watching movies, then those are the ones you want, I guess. I really don't care one way or the other. See, those are good. And just like I always say, if it's nylon on steel, if it's nylon on steel, it doesn't need grease or oil, unless it has been greased or oiled beforehand, and then it's gummy. Then you're going to have to. But nylon on steel is usually self-lubricating unless it wears out. Had a little grease on one of my pinch rollers. Okay, now let's see what happens when we plug it in, and we'll stick our free tape in it, our free movie. Okay. Oh. What the hell happened here? Alright, I got it plugged in. Let's see, is it on? Let's turn it on. And we'll see what it does. Yeah, just will not pull the tape, pull the movie all the way in. That's why it was left hanging out to begin with. And it won't eject. Let's turn it back on, play around with it, see if we can get it to eject. I am... Oh, come on out of there. When you're playing with these, make sure that you have a video that you don't give a crap about. This one was free, so, and I think this is at the end of the, is that at the end? Yeah, it's at the end anyway, so who the hell ever watches the end? Alright, now, I'm figuring on, we probably have a belt that's stretched, that's not pulling the mech all the way up against the head. So we will, looks like we're going to have to go through the bottom because everything up top here doesn't look like we can get to it. And if it's a board level repair, then it is doo-doo. So I'll get this unplugged so we don't have any electroshock therapy. And let's pull off its bottom. Let's see if we can get access to a belt. And hopefully we have a belt that will fit it. I bought a pack of Universal belts, but you know how that goes. Even though you buy a pack of Universal belts, you never have the one you need. That's just the way it goes. And there's our problem right there. Isn't that nice? Big flat belt. Okay, now we have to figure out where all it goes. Okay, and man, that one's pretty sloppy as well. And this one over here actually looks like it's degrading. Yeah, that belt is actually melting. Okay, so it looks like we have one big flat one that goes around. This is what drives part of the mech. Sorry. This one, that's our head motor there. So let me round up some belts and see what we can come up with. God, look at that. That's the belt. It just reverts back to tar. Alright, now I gotta get this all cleaned up. Let me... Yeah, you can see it. I don't know if you can see. Let me get you down. And look at that belt is degrading so much that it's actually melting again. And it looks like our big flat belt. That was a flat belt there too. It may. Here's our motor back here. That has the bottom of the flat belt. You can see what's left of the belt sitting down on it, on the brass. That comes over, goes around our big, back you up again, and goes around our big wheel here that feels a little goofy. And then I think, yeah, comes all the way over. No, that's going to be different. I think there's a belt. I know there's a belt that goes on here, but I don't think, is it our flat belt? Well, anyway, I'm going to have to study this, because this is lower than this one. So we know that big belt just goes around the big one here and over onto the brass. This had a belt on it as well, but I am not seeing right offhand where it goes. So I'm going to have to take a peek, study this a little bit, round up some belts and see if we can't get this thing straightened out. Might be able to save it yet. Alright, for the life of me, I could not figure out where this belt goes. I have a belt that goes on here. And I looked all over this thing, trying to figure out, you know, there was no pieces of the belt laying where it might go, so I figured it had to have been a short belt, you know. So I kind of put a stick on here and kind of tried to figure out, you know, where that belt might go. And nothing. I couldn't see where it went. And I noticed, okay, well, we have two ends of the belt. We have one here and one here. So it had to have been a little short belt. Well, you know, you kind of aim it around and there's nowhere, nothing under here, nowhere for that belt to go. And I looked at this thing for, God, probably 15-20 minutes trying to figure out where the hell that belt goes. I thought, okay, well, there's no belt left in here. How about on the bottom of the plate? Our bottom. Well, lo and behold, there's what's left of the belt. And you can see the dust mark. Here's this pulley. And that's a long ass belt that runs all the way up to that nasty little looking thing there. And that is this white. That white pulley. The top is all nasty, goobered up with rotten belt. That it was, I just thought it was this belt here degrading onto this pulley. But I was wrong. This belt stretches all the way over to here and around. So we have four belts on this. We have our flat belt that drives this. We have our real long belt here. We have a belt here. And we have a belt here. So what I am going to do is, there's no sense in you watching me clean up nasty old belt and try and get that all cleaned up so we can put some fresh belts on it and see if this thing works. So I will go ahead and get the nasty belts all cleaned up. Now that we know where they all go, now I can take them off and clean everything up. I didn't want to take anything off until I figured out where everything goes. God, still, everything you touch, you turn black. And that's that belt that's all rotten. That's the only one that has rotted. Was right up around in there. Alright, let me get this cleaned up, and then I'll bring you back and we'll put the belts on it. Alright, I got most of that nasty stuff cleaned up. What am I looking for? Okay, yeah, I got most of that nasty stuff cleaned up. And now there's a couple spots here that we're gonna throw some grease on. I know you're kind of wondering why that rubber gets all nasty like that. Well, rubber is a natural compound. It's a sap from the rubber tree. I think we get most of our rubber from Paris, and being that it's an organic compound, it eventually it does rot. So what you are seeing when it's all getting gummy and nasty is actually it rotting. I got that black cleaned off. You want to clean off I mean, if you can get it all off, by all means get it all off, because it'll make it sticky, and with it being sticky, come on, your belt's going to want to stick to the pulley and hang up, or not really hang up, but it will have a tendency to want to stick in one spot and stay. And come on, get up there where you belong. I don't know. There we go. Kind of get it where it belongs. And it, you know, it wants to return to its original form, and it rots. And when it rots, it's just like anything. When it rots, it's decomposing. I'm going to try those belts. And the black that you see, rubber is naturally sticky anyway, and they refine it down, and then when they're done refining it, you know, then it goes to the mill, you know, the whole schmear. And the black that you see is a carbon color, carbon black that they put in. To make it black. Now I'm hoping this belt right here is going to be long enough. In there, yeah. There we go. Not going to say that's going to work, but we got belts on it. Yeah, that's better. That belt's tighter now. It's holding it away from the motor like it should. This one could have been a little longer, but I think it's going to be just fine. Okay. Oh yeah, and they put the carbon black in the rubber, so it's not white. I guess rubber looks better black. I don't know, but they put carbon black in to color it black. That's why it's black. And when you're cleaning and you get that stuff all over, all that is the carbon black that's in the natural rubber. After they process the rubber, put the carbon black in it, and there's some preservatives they put in it, and they mill it. And then after they're done milling it, they vulcanize it, which they heat it to a certain temperature, and it cooks the rubber and makes it hard and durable and lasts longer. And there's additives that they put in that are kind of a synthetic rubber compound to mix with the natural rubber. Natural rubber is sticky by trait. I mean, natural rubber is just like that, like gum, and will stick to you. And they vulcanize it, cure it, and then it becomes stable and a little harder, and it's not sticky anymore. And it lasts longer after vulcanization. But over time, you know, you've seen it on your tires, they start cracking. These little belts, they start breaking down and start decomposing again. Or not again, but they start decomposing because they're going back to their natural environment, you know, organic. Because it's just tree sap. Okay, enough of me. Enough of the history lesson of making rubber. Let me go get our bottom. We'll put our bottom on, and then we can flip it back over and see what it does now. Okay. How's this stupid thing go back on? It should be right there. Go right into there. Go on there. Okay. Now I'm not going to put all the screws in it because we may be back in there again. So we will. We are just going to put one, two, I got one more. I'll just put it right in. We'll put it right in there. 3. Need our end here. We'll get her plugged in. Are you all the way out? Yep. Okay. There we go. Made some noise. Turn it on. Yep. It's on. It's kind of hard to tell. This one, it's just got a wee little indicator down there showing you that it's on. Looks like our head motor is not spinning fast enough. We're not picking it up. Play. No, see, it always shuts down once it's. Ooh, there we go. No, still didn't like it. Yep. Yeah. Good thing I don't care about this movie. Oh, oh shit. The door's not. Come on. Come on, spit it out. Here we go. Like I said, good thing I don't care about this video. Let's see why our door doesn't want to open anymore. I'll get the face off of this thing again. Oh shit, I can't now because the bottom's on it. Alright, let's unplug it. Let's take the bottom back off. Let go. And see what our belts are doing. See if maybe we don't have one. Maybe we have one that's not tight enough. Might have to put a different belt on it. Can't get belts. You can't just order a kit for these. You have to kind of hope and pray that you have something to put on it. Let go. Okay, our spindle motor was okay. It was taken off. This, I'm not sure yet. I don't like this one. Let's see what we have. Let me see if I have one that's a little shorter. This one's a little shorter. I think we're rubbing because it's too long. To tell you the truth, I don't think it's that one. I still think it's this guy right here. That's what sucks in our... So let's put the original, let's put this one back on. I like this one. I think was working. That's the one I think is slipping on us. Let me see if I have something a little tighter. Nope, that's too big. That's going to be too big. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. Much better. Now, oh, our ejector. Let's take the face off this. Okay, that's what lifts up the door. So I'm thinking get this started. Oh, come on. Okay, one more time. Trust me, you do this a lot. Taking it apart, putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together, until you get everything the way you like it and working. Or you can just say the hell with it and throw it in the dumpster. But what fun is that? You do that, you didn't learn anything. Okay, that's gone. Now, let's see. Still doesn't want to take the tape back in. Well, unfortunately, folks, we have dumpster food. After messing with this and watching and seeing how everything works on it, what it's not doing is when the tape goes down, it's not engaging our drives to drive the tape. That's why our tape's staying up inside. And it all comes down to there's a little plastic, of course plastic, lever down in here that's busted, and one of the gears is stripped that drives our spindle. So needless to say, I spent a couple hours on it, probably a little more than a couple hours, but I spent enough time on it, and it's just getting to the point where it is not fixable. So unfortunately, this one will be, I'll put it back together, take my new belts off of it, put it back together, put a couple screws in it, and I'll throw it in a pile. And hardly ever do I ever use any parts off old VCRs. So it'll sit around, I'll kick it around a couple of times, and then I'll get mad, and it'll get pitched. So unfortunately, the only thing I'm out is the $12.50 that I spent for it at the auction. But, you know, we gave it a try, and that's all you can do. And if you can't fix them, you can't fix them. So I hope you enjoyed the video, even though it didn't have a good outcome. And I hope to see you on the next one. Until next time, see ya.